each subject area in the school should have its own agreed set of assessment for learning practices. Now, as said earlier, the assessment for learning policy and assessment of learning policy has to be in place according to the school and its organization. It is not compulsory that all the schools have the same style and set of assessment. They can have it differently and it can be in place in a different form. But the policy has to be set and it should be in place so all the teachers in the school are following that. So for example, if it is a subject of language, the assessment for that can be just in spoken skills. Because for a language, it is most important that who are learning the language should be able to speak the language. So in that case, assessment for learning policy for language could be that the teachers are going to talk to the students for 5 minutes and find out where are the weak areas and which are the strengths of the student. And then probably keep a record of that and guide the student, give a feedback session and make the student understand how he's going to work on his weak areas, and also at the same time get the appreciation and appraisal from the teacher that he is good in these areas. Because that is also very important in the process of assessment for learning, because the student would know that for learning this strong area is helping him and then he can develop more in it. Another thing that has to be in place is that the schools, they have clearly stated methods through which it agrees to help students at all levels to improve their work and make progress. So there has to be a thought about how the students are going to work in their weak areas. And there should be methods which should be discussed among students and teachers, and then they should be put in place so that everybody follows those methods. For example, let us take the example of mathematics. Most of the time, students are weak in mathematics. So when the teacher comes to know that this is the area where the student needs to work in, then she has to formulate a group of people who are going to work together at some time during the day when the other students are busy in other things, or maybe it can be an after-school class. Someone who is good in that area and who has methods to improve that weak area should be designated the job of teaching those students, so that all the problems that they have in their weak areas should be addressed by the person who knows the methods how to go about it. The whole plan has to be in place for the assessment for learning, because it cannot be just a haphazard thing to improve on the areas that need to be improved. A whole system and schedule has to be designed in order to help the students to work in those areas. Another thing that the school has to put in place for assessment for learning is provide guidance on how to set and use lesson objectives and how to build on existing learning. It is very unfortunate that while learning is taking place, the students are not aware of the objectives of that learning. For example, if you ask your students that when they are learning spellings, what is the objective of learning spellings? There are very few people who would really know about it. So, we all know that in the lesson plan there is a column in which we all write the objective of the lesson. The teachers need to make clear what is the objective of that learning. This objective, when made clear to the students, helps them to understand why they are doing a particular activity. And that activity is going to help them in which direction. Therefore, the teacher must make it very clear to the student while the assessment for learning is taking place, that why is it important for the student to learn this in a particular direction to get a particular result.